The Ensombl podcast is intended for professional financial advisors. All discussion is limited to publicly available information and should not be interpreted as legal, professional, or financial advice. Ensombl does not hold an AFS license nor provide any financial services. Before making investment decisions, you should obtain financial advice from a qualified financial advisor.
Hello, my name's James Wrigley. I'm a financial advisor and one of the principals of Melbourne-based financial planning firm First Financial. I've been a long-term listener and contributor to the Ensombl group and podcast, picking up some amazing nuggets of gold over the years. And through this podcast and the people that I'm able to speak to and interview, hopefully I can continue to deliver some of those nuggets of gold to you.
A Challenger lifetime annuity can do more for portfolio outcomes. A combination of income streams, blending a Challenger lifetime annuity with other sources of retirement income, such as an account-based pension, means your clients can get the best of both worlds. Guaranteed regular income for life and access to capital as needed. Help more clients do more, live more, create more. Contact your Challenger BDM or visit challenger.com.au/portfolio-outcomes. For a retirement portfolio that can deliver more, read and consider the Challenger Lifetime Annuity, Liquid Lifetime, PDS and TMD from challenger.com.au.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of the podcast. I have the pleasure of speaking with Stefan Angelini, Angel Advisory. Steph, I love the name of your business, first and foremost. That's fantastic. Been trying to get you on the podcast for a long time, but finally got you here, so thanks for joining me.
Mate, I am that excited to be here. Thank you for taking the time of bringing me on. Mate, Angel Advisory, as you can see, I'm a marketing guru, James, just like you.
We both happened to have cancelled meetings at 10 o'clock this morning and could line up to record. So yeah, thanks. Well, obviously the name is a play on your surname, but was there any other marketing thought behind Angel Advisory?
Absolutely not. I need to start a business, and being a financial planner by heart, I'm a tight ass, so I didn't want to spend money on marketing or pay some whiz-bang person to come up with a brand for me. So I just said, well, Angel Advisory, drop the I and we're good. We'll see how it goes until one day someone will tell me to change it because it's no good, but everyone's happy today.
Yeah. And it's kind of that play on that like angel investing type thing. You know, people that are rich feel like they're going to do some angel investing and, you know, they're going to punt their winnings on selling their business. They're going to punt their winnings on some startups and be an angel investor. Some will work, some won't. But
it's actually the worst thing that's happened to me. Everyone now is reaching out going, hey, look, I know you're an angel investor. You know, can your firm help my business? We need some money to grow. I'm like, no. We're financial planners. We're boring. We don't want to touch your business.
I thought that might have been the case, that you get a bit of that type of stuff happening. So I know a bit about your story, but I want to hear your kind of stories in leaving. We worked in the same business. In leaving, starting up your own place. How many years have you been doing it now for?
So we'll be 5 in July 2024. So started July 2019?
Yeah,
which is scary. Had a just got married, baby on the way. Said it's a good time. Idiot. Yeah. In hindsight, but hey, it's working out, which I'm proud of.
What was the catalyst? So you'd obviously worked through being an associate advisor, and before professional year was a thing, kind of a professional year of sorts that we operate within the business. And then I get the feeling, and please speak openly, but I get the feeling like you wanted to do things faster and you wanted to do things your way, and the only way to do that was to start your own business. Was that it, or was there something more?
So obviously, when we work together, it's great from a learning perspective and a strategic perspective. But then I went and worked with another person who's used to work with us as well, who was a really great operator.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, so I did a stint there as an advisor, and which was great so what you get to learn at big firms, you get to learn how to be a great advisor. You don't necessarily learn how to win business, which is so important when you run your own show. And I got to operate under someone who's amazing at networking and knew how to bring in business. So I learned those ropes for 2.5 years. And then it sort of got to a point, and as you would have known me from back in the day, it was very much I like to run, do things my way, and move fast, and that's where I sort of say, well, at the end of it, if not now, when? So I sort of need to run my own business because I'm not great at taking orders and good at marching to the beat of my own drum. So I ended up making a leap of faith in 2019 to go off and start my own firm.
Yeah. And has it been completely different to what you thought it would be? Somewhat like what you thought it would be? Like, what's your sense of that?
Yeah, you think it's easy. You think running a business is going to be easy, but it goes in like when you're a great professional and advisor. And I love advising, and I love the strategic side of it, and processes and things like that. But running a business is a lot more than that, because you got to do marketing, and you got to do the accounting, the bookkeeping, and then do budgeting, and then you got to go into hiring people. So then you got to make more processes and more procedures when you hire people, and then you go, all right, how do I make my business more efficient? Got to build out different processes and different procedures where you're used to other businesses that build it for you and say, this is what we're going to do. And instead, you're the one leading the charge to build things the right way for your business.
Yeah.
Which is great. I love it. But just it's a lot of work, a lot of time, which means you need and eventually you got to end up surrounding yourself with all the right people, which fortunately I think I've done.
So you go from, there's a lot of people I get the opportunity to speak to as part of this podcast who've done a similar thing to you, and you go from being an advisor in a bigger business where all you have to worry about being is the advisor. You follow the process and you hand the form on to someone else, and then something just happens, and before you know it, there's an SOA back and you're ready to present. But when you go to doing it on your own, as you said, you've got to do your own finances and bookkeeping and so forth, until you're big enough and you can start to employ people there. Where was the first area of your business where you started to get some help? Like, how long did you try and do everything yourself before you got some help?
Yeah, so first up, I hired a virtual assistant straight away, executive assistant, to do calendar management, to do gathering PDSs, TMDs, all the research.
On day one.
Day one, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, pretty much before I even started. Because when I started, I wasn't just doing financial planning, I was doing other businesses as well. I've always been very active in doing other things. So that person was helping me on multiple things. But then in the planning world, my first hire, I reached out to them after 6 months and I said, I want you to come work with me. And we used to work with him. He used to be, we used to work together back in the day. He said, can you afford me? I said, no. He goes, well, call me back when you can afford me. And then at month 9, I said, I can afford you now, sort of. Why don't you come work with me? So that's Al. So he's now an integral part of my business. He's a business owner, and he is more of the back end compliance, processes, operations. Gives me the ability to go out and run and do strategies and investments and win clients. So I was 9 months old when I had my first wage bill I had to start paying for someone else.
Yeah. And what did that impact that have on any money that you were able to take home? Like, did you have to pretty much not pay yourself anything for a period of time because you had to pay Al all of a sudden?
Yeah, I get asked this question a lot. So it's like when you run a business, you can go two options. You can go run it all yourself, run yourself into the ground, and I feel like have not a great client experience because you're trying to do it all yourself, but it means you get to take home a really good packet.
Yeah.
Or you can be an idiot like I am and go off and hire a lot of people really fast, and it just diminishes the amount you can take home.
Yes.
And then you've got to make sure your wife and kids are at home happy with living off no money. So it just meant that I've had to, because I hired my first person at 12 months, hired first person at 9 months, second person at 15 months.
Mm-hmm.
And it just meant that I couldn't really take money out of the business. Fortunately, I've done well on my own before starting the business. So I didn't need too much of a wage. So yeah, it really hampered the amount I could take home and put in my pocket. And I got to like 3 years in, James, and I'm like, maybe I should have just become a salaried advisor somewhere and bought into a business like I was offered to. Would have been a lot easier. But now the business is good, it's mature, and I've got a big asset base behind it. So it's now it's a bit better.
That's the trade-off, isn't it? You could absolutely have been paid more in the last 5 years if you worked as a salaried employee somewhere else, but you wouldn't have built the business, and you've got that asset there, and whatever you end up doing with that, whether you continue to grow it, you sell it, whatever, it's kind of your asset. Sounds like some of the other people there are part owners of the business as well. That's where the value is in the blood, sweat and tears in building the business.
Yeah. Well, they say eat shit for a little while.
Yeah.
And if you can do that for a while, hopefully it all pays off. And hopefully we get past the 5-year mark. They say 98% of businesses fail in the first 5 years. So I'm just trying to crawl to the end, James.
Don't be one of those stats. I don't think you will be. So you mentioned before we started recording that we were joking about getting help around the house, and you were talking about the grass. You said you're still working 6 days a week. So have you done 6 days a week for the last 5 years?
Yeah, well, like I come from a small business family. So mum still works 6 days a week. Dad works 6 days a week. My poor old brother's a builder. He works 7 days a week.
Yeah.
So it's sort of been in the blood that even when I was working for a firm and 5 days there, I'd always do things on weekends for other businesses I was doing or a part of. So yes, I've been doing it pretty much since the start. It upsets my wife tremendously. One day it'll stop, maybe it'll stop. I don't know. But yeah, so
your mum's coming to the office. By, probably not.
Probably not. Coming to the office on a Saturday, look, I might get in at 9:30, leave at 2:30, but it's just a really good day to knock out a lot of work.
Yeah.
Because as you know, in our game, there's so much compliance. All the strategy work sometimes falls on your shoulders when you know the client. There's just work that needs to get done. And when you've got so many people asking you questions all the time, you just need the free headspace in order to think clearly and to actually just get shit done.
Yeah. So who have you got in the business now? Like you mentioned, Al working in the kind of back office type stuff, compliance and so forth. What other roles do you have people performing in the business now?
So we're at 9 now, including me. So I've got myself and Al were the first two to start. Tom was the next one. He'd spent 5 years in the army and he's now doing his professional year. So he's pretty much been an associate for a little while.
Yeah.
Outside of Tom, who's going to be taking on an advisor role, and we've got his niche area that he's going to operate in. We've got Tuan, who's my retiree advisor, and then we've got Stefan Angelini, who is my sort of high income earning insurance advisor. We've got Al that manages the operations team. We outsource all their paraplanning, and then under that we've got 4 admin staff that are all offshore. So one is a client services manager, so manages the team. 2 work under her, and then we've got another person who does like a lot of our still report gathering, marketing work, and things like that. So, good little team.
Pretty decent team you built, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think we've benefited well from outsourcing administration tremendously. I built a lot of processes and procedures. And the first person we hired, we trained. Second person, we part trained. Third person, the team's sort of training itself now, which is really good. Okay. Yep. Really refreshing.
Yeah.
I've always wanted specialist advisors in specialist areas. So now I've got retiree. I'll do more the high net worth complex stuff. The high income earning person that's got a big insurance background. Because, when clients reach out, everyone's got a different scenario and different circumstance, and our world is so big. Yeah. The strategies on offer are so broad. So if I can build a firm of specialists, it should be good, hopefully.
So who are the types of clients that you're working with at the moment? Like you in particular?
Yeah, so me in particular. So the way we work is I still take most new client calls.
Yep.
So I'll do like a discovery phone call, and then we'll do a strategy meeting with the client, and that's where I might pass it off to one of the specialists. And if they remain as me, my client is more the complex scenario, complex family groups, business owners, someone's had a business sale, or a lot of income coming through the door.
Yep. Where
we need to have those tax discussions and need to be involving a whole lot of people in their network to have a really great outcome. So there might be portfolios normally of $1 million or more that we're managing, or large property portfolios or businesses on the back of that, more people that are a bit active. So that's more who I'm seeing more of.
Mm.
And I guess the reason that I'm sort of suited to that person is because I do a lot in my personal name with business involvement and property development. So it's just about matching up people's niches and expertise with the client.
Yeah. And how do you deal with the property and financial advice part? Because this is kind of general thing that financial advisors are, I can't recommend property or whatever. I can't even touch the thing. How are you managing that? How do you deal with it?
Yeah, so it's still the part that, you'd never recommend buying a specific property. But property is so much about, financial planning is so important to property. It's because of, what does the asset look like? Does the income suit your lifestyle? Can you afford the debt repayments? Depending on the type of debt you're getting, if you're a business owner, are you going to a big bank? It is a second mortgagee. It's about planning that asset into a person's future and then bringing it back to the structure. So I'd never get involved in the specific asset selection. It's just about the structure that relates to the person's life.
Yep.
And I think that's what a lot of people do without realizing it. But it's a really valuable tool that clients are loving, a valuable piece of advice, because their accountant can do it to give a structuring piece of advice, but they don't know all the different parts to a person's financial circumstance to say, is this the right asset for you?
Yeah. You tend to get a few accountants that are good at that type of stuff, but by and large, in my experience, not so much. And so it leaves the clients looking for answers somewhere else, and sounds like you're able to help.
Yeah, well, especially when it comes to like a commercial property acquisition or residential property acquisition, right? Debt repayments are so high. It's easy to talk about how to structure it, but what about future repayments and what's going to happen because you want to have another kid in 2 years' time, or someone's going to drop their work, or you're going to go off and start your own business? How does that fit into the picture?
Yeah.
They're the conversations. And even like we're doing a lot more with people buying commercial property assets. And that's a whole different conversation itself, because we're talking business owners who have multiple structures and money in bucket companies. And do we use money in the bucket company or use a loan? And can we afford it? When do we want to sell the business? Do we want to keep the asset? When do we pay it off? Yeah, there's big questions to ask, which us as planners, I feel like that's the juicy part. Instead of recommending, an ETF, let us help you structure this asset, because if you get it wrong, it's going to have massive ramifications.
Yeah. Do you do any like cash flow modeling or something to help support these conversations? And if so, what are you using? Like, are you using Xplan? Do you build something yourself in Excel? Like, how do you deal with it?
Yeah, so no, we don't use Xplan. We just built it all in Excel, and a lot of it's off experiences and things that get popped up. Residential property is a lot harder. Like, so we do a lot of SMSF advice and LRBAs, and we've got a lot of tools built out there around what are the different expenses that go into a property, and just more projecting that into the future. Not trying to say property is going to go up by 7% a year or 10% a year. Who cares about capital growth? If you can maintain the asset, well, that's step number one.
Yep.
Maintain the asset, not be forced to sell it.
Yep. And so where do the clients find you? You said you do a lot of the kind of intro calls yourself. Where are the clients coming across you?
All from people that we work with, normally professionals. So the main, I guess, 4 ways people come to us is either through me, they know me, or they've heard of me, and that might be through social media or something like that. It's not the social media part isn't big for our business. I would say we get a majority of our referrals from accountants and mortgage brokers. So a lot of mortgage brokers refer clients to us because we are pro-property. We love property as part of a portfolio. I'm Italian. I don't really have a choice. I'm forced to love the asset class. Doesn't mean we advise on it, but it just means I'm not going to take they know I'm not going to take a view of, you need to be in shares. This is all you should be doing. Even though there's a case for it for a lot of people, you need to be, careful about approaching the subject.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so I would say we get all our referrals from accountants, mortgage brokers, and then a few people that might know me through the traps. And at the moment, it's still high levels of volume that are coming through. But I'm still trying to set up the business so we can do more of that marketing and getting to know people.
Yep. And so what are your plans on that marketing front?
I've got to follow in your footsteps, James. Been watching you from afar for a long time. Probably
you seem to go at it.
Do more gardening videos and get the lawnmower like you do and see if I can.
You seem to have a go. You seem to, from what I see from the outside, you have like a real run of it, and then you stop, and then you have a real run of it, and then you stop. Like, you were doing a series there for a while where you were getting fund managers in and doing like interviews and stuff, and then you stop, and then you start, and then you stop. Is that what's going on? Yeah.
Well, so consistency. You know how important being consistent is.
Yeah.
And once you get a run on, you need to keep going, and that's always been a dream to be able to be consistent. But the perils of running a business and a growing business drags you back in. So I've always been torn between, do I do this activity that's going to grow the business and grow our brand, or do I do tasks that are going to make sure the business survives?
Yep.
So I need to get pulled in to make sure the business survives and operates efficiently before I run back to doing the things that run the business. So it's, what it's like, the working on your business, not in your business.
Yeah.
I'm 5 years old, so unfortunately I've got to be in the business. But as you get to a point now, I've got 9 people. We're doing a second business acquisition at the moment, hopefully bringing in another 2 or 3 people a part of that. And then the business will be bigger and better, and I'll have more time to go off and run and do the different marketing activities. But I still think, James, like in our industry, working with other trusted professionals is so important, because if you do a good job and you can back yourself into doing a good job, then other professionals are going to trust you to work with their clients too, like accountants and mortgage brokers, because getting getting a clip of commission is less important to them as having a great outcome with the client. And that client can be like, well, you've got to trust a group of professionals. I'm never going to leave you or this person. So I think that's building out that network is still so important.
You mentioned just their business acquisition. So you bought a business.
Yeah.
So you started yourself.
Yeah.
You bought a business and you're about to buy another one.
Yeah. So bought one about 2 years ago.
Yep.
Small book of clients, paid cash for it. Pretty easy transaction. Took a bit of negotiations to get there, but we got there in the end. Now I'm going through a larger one, trying to make that successful. And that comes with staff and everything. And it's a bit more complex. The way you work it out is a bit different. But, these have all went off market. People that come either direct to me or introduced to me. And I think it's a great way, provided you can tap into people who will be good clients. It's important. So I don't want to buy businesses that have clients who don't value advice. So the first business we bought, average revenue per client was about $9,000 per client. And then next business now, it's more a self-managed super fund administration and insurance book with some ability to add in financial planning. Because as well as I do, all the work comes out into monitoring and maintaining the client from a planning perspective.
Yep.
But adding on service lines into a business is, I feel, super important. It's basically just figuring out how we charge for a service we don't currently charge for, being like the administration of self-managed super funds.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, and I think this current one has been going for about 8 or 9 months.
Yeah. What's the process there? So, like the first one, for example, somehow or other you get in contact with someone that's looking at selling their business. Where to from there? Like, what are you doing from there?
Yeah. So meet, get to know the person, make sure they're a good personality that suits yours, and then you go, what are you looking for? They sign a non-disclosure agreement. Non-disclosure agreement will give you access to a bit more information about the clients. You go into a due diligence period where you can start to suss out, is this client book right for me based on the information they're presented? And then you start to figure out, right, what does the right purchase price and settlement terms look like for me and my business based on the clients I want? Yeah. And I find it's the negotiations part is the hardest. It's not too difficult because you get that done pretty quickly. So negotiations might be, what am I buying? What's the multiple? Is it a multiple of revenue or profit? Am I taking staff? What am I taking as part of those staff? Basically, what's my upfront figure? How long settlement? What am I paying at the end? So what's my clawback?
Yeah. And
then is there a rise or fall? And then you get into the legals, right? So it's all good. So that sort of forms an MOU, memorandum of understanding. You go, this is our heads of agreement. We're going to say, this is our main terms. But then you get the lawyers involved and they go, that's great. You've worked out 6 different parts of the transaction. We're going to bring in the other 30 or 40 parts of the transaction that's going to mess everything up. And that's where it gets long in the tooth, bringing in the lawyers and the nitty gritty bits that you've got to update and change. And this is a T and not an I. And that's what blows out a process.
How do you, did you do that first part on your own? Did you get some help with that first part, like the negotiating and working out what you're buying, what you're not and stuff? Like, did you do that all on your own or with some help from somewhere?
No, also mostly on my own. I'm very fortunate. So the licensee that I'm with, WT Financial Group, we've got a business. So our state manager, Sarah Congdon, she's very instrumental in helping me sort of assess these businesses and with the negotiation. So she's a great assistance for me there, but she's probably the only person I turn to for help in that regard. Other than that, it's just sort of doing what you feel is right. Because at the end of the day, like it's our business. They're coming into our business. Yeah. So I'll buy these clients for what I think is worth it for our business. And if they don't want that and we can't come to an agreement, then it's just not going to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm impressed. Like I wouldn't even know where to start. But then you can kind of circle that back to the types of clients that you're working with. I imagine some of the clients that you're working with are going through these types of things themselves. They're assessing buying or selling a business, buying or selling a property or whatever. You're then able to talk about your own lived experience operating your business and whatever other business interests you've got outside of financial advice. I'm sure that helps your interactions with your clients.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think that's where life experiences, and that's what, as you know, with financial planning, you learn on the job. And by doing a lot more than reading a book. So I've had many instances when I've bought and sold businesses and bought and sold properties and been in developments and joint ventures and done unit trusts and all those things that are sort of assisted in this part of the process now. And now I can hopefully talk from a bit more experience around how you do structure a deal, but it's also different. And that's where you just need the right people behind you when you get to the nitty-gritty part, like the right lawyer to make sure the contract is right and in your favor. Because if the contract's not right, I've learned from the past. I had a part ownership in a business that was a tech company, and the shareholders agreement was not right. And it went belly up pretty quickly. So contracts are so important. And we're not contract people.
Nah.
We're very trusting by nature as planners.
So that first business, was it just clients you got? Did any staff as a result of that? What was the makeup of the first one?
No, straight out, just clients. There's only about 10 clients in the book that we purchased, most of the retirees, and we could sort of take it over, run them. We'd have to go through lending for that one as well. So that was nice and easy. So just use cash to purchase it. Yeah. And it's just all about bringing them on, new SOAs, maintaining them, making sure they're happy. Fortunately, no one's left. No one's passed away.
Yeah.
Transaction's done. Clients are super happy. And now we're at a point where just the fees were fair. We actually dropped some of their fees.
Okay.
Just to maintain a relationship. But there was no staff, no lending, so it wasn't as complex.
Yeah. And this next one sounds like it's a bit more complicated.
Yeah, staff. What staff benefits are we taking over? The lending piece. Are we going through a private lender? Are we going through a bank? Are we going to a second tier bank? Yeah. How does that all fit into the piece? Do we need valuations on our business or the business we're purchasing? What's the security? There becomes a lot more to it, but I think it's a bit of fun when you escape the normal strategy you do to say, right, I'm growing the business now. It's scary at the start. Do you remember back when you first started doing proposals for new clients and how scared you were? And then you get the butterflies in your belly. It's like, I've got no one running with me anymore. This is my first proposal. I've got to tell this person that they've got to pay me $3,000-$5,000 to write a plan for them. Yeah. And they might not see value. So it's scary at the start. The first one especially, I had butterflies flying around like crazy in my belly. The second one, similar. And as you know, you do more, you get better, and you realize that as long as you've got the right intentions and you're doing it to better yourself and your business, because at the moment your team's the most important thing. Mm-hmm. And you know as well as I do, it's a lot harder to find and keep good people in your team than it is to find good clients that are suitable. So it's just experience matters.
That's it. It's just a bit more lived experience, as you're saying before. Can you talk about some of the stuff you do outside of the financial advice business? I don't know how you find some time to do anything else, but you've mentioned a bit there, like a tech company. You've mentioned property and stuff. Like, can you touch briefly on some other things you've got going on outside of financial advice?
First off, look, we are the advocate for our clients' money, and anything I do personally does not involve any clients' money. Just getting it out there, right? Because everyone's like, you do developments, do you use your clients' money? No, don't touch it. Arm's length for all of it. But ever since I've been young, I've always been involved in business. That first company was actually a little tech company that appeared on Shark Tank, and we got a handshake agreement for that. That went nowhere.
You were on Shark Tank, were you?
No, I was behind the scenes. We had the managing director as the base of it. Yeah. Since then, look, now I've got Italian, so I've got pizza restaurant, coffee shop, a few other businesses. You know, I've got a bigger family group, so I invest with my brother, my father, and things like that. Yeah. Assist them with running their businesses, which has always been part of what I do. From the property side, I think I purchased my first property at 19 and built it, and then sold it, and sort of just kept rolling from there. So now I've got 11 factories going up in Werribee. I've got a childcare centre in Melton. I've got 2 townhouses in Ocean Grove, some townhouses in Windsor, and NDIS. I've got some NDIS property, which is the talk of the town. And I've been involved in that game for about the last 7 years, and it's a mug's game. Like, it's so tough, and there's so many salespeople out there. So we built a specific product that is suitable to us. And through doing that and being in that industry, I can talk to people about that industry, which is, I feel like so many people are asking about these NDIS properties. Did you know I can get 17% rental return from an NDIS property? And I go, come on, mate. No, can't.
I've got a client that's had, I don't know, they had it before I met them. They ended up with one somewhere, some little shitty property. They're getting this great rent, but now all of a sudden that like the scheme's ended for them. It's like, well, what are you going to do with this property now? And it's like it's like the rent's horrible. They're going to end up selling it for less than what they bought it for in the first place. The whole thing's just a scam.
That's right. No tenant, no rent. They go, you're going to get guaranteed rent for a year. Yeah, but they've been paid. The person who sold it to has been paid $30,000-$60,000 in commission to get that done. So yeah, unfortunately, it's about building the right type of product, having the right type of tenant. And the other thing I do is rooming houses as well. So got 9 bedrooms in a house and rent out each room in a house, which is sort of like that affordable accommodation, social housing piece, which is fun. But yeah, so I feel like financial advice is an amazing industry, but by doing things on the outside, it gives me and then the team the tools to talk about things that other people generally might not be able to, like different kinds of property investments that people are keen to engage in or look into. Businesses, should I go and invest into this business? How do I use my super to go and buy into a business, to lend money to this business, to do this development, to do this project? By being involved in this stuff, I feel like it aids you when you're looking into a strategy to say, all right, so how do self-managed super funds invest into properties and property developments and things like that?
Yeah.
And how does everything remain legal and above board when you do it?
It's even just as simple as like, I remember you posted on LinkedIn or something a while ago, like you'd had some family meeting by the sounds of things. It might have been, with your dad and your brother or whatever. And you guys were planning whatever you're going to do next. But it's that type of thing that you can be encouraging in your clients to say, look, you need to be having a family meeting about this thing, or I'll chair the family meeting, or we've got to bring in your lawyer and your accountant and all the rest of it. They're all things that you're doing in your own life that then you can just bring into the operations in your business and be encouraging your clients to be doing as well. Yeah,
well, I think that's exactly right. And I feel like us as advisors, like who knows more about a client's personal financial situation and their lifestyle objectives than us? So who's the perfect person to chair the meetings that relate to the key outcomes for the client and then wheel in all the professionals to help them do that? I feel like it's us.
Yeah.
And then it's like, all right, well, now we're going to be the project manager to manage the broker, accountant, lawyer, and whoever else gets involved in the picture to make sure we're meeting your needs as you grow.
Yeah. So where to from here for the financial advice business? What do you got your sights set on?
I don't know. Like we're growing great organically. We're doing really well. I think it's about, for me, building out the team. Like I've got some amazing people now who care about the business and want to see it grow. I feel having it grow to support them into an ownership position is really where I want to take it. And we're so fortunate to do what we do. I love being an advisor because we get to become best mates with people and be that trusted person. So I think just keep it growing as it is. Maybe try and build a bigger reputation. I've got this side about trying to be national. I don't know if I really want to or not, but I'm not sure yet, mate. I think I'm just running on the hamster wheel.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll just keep going, and if good things pop up, then I'll take advantage of opportunities. But keep growing and try to make sure that people enjoy their work in the team while still growing. So that's where I want to take it. Yeah. I don't really want to be acquired though.
Yeah. Not up for sale. There is no for sale sign at the front.
No, yeah, I like my business and running it our way and doing things the way that we do it. And I think trying to do it in a different way. Have you realised recently that there's a lot of firms now that won't do one-off advice? They say to clients, if you're not going to pay me a retainer of $10,000 a year, we're not going to write advice for you at all. I feel like there's so many people losing out from that.
Yeah, well, I had Nathan Fradley was on a little while ago, and he's just started a brand new business himself. It's like a number of weeks old by this stage, and it's the complete opposite, where he is only doing one-off advice, and I will not take you on as an ongoing financial planning client. If that's appropriate for you, I'll refer you to these financial advisors that I know, but I'm coming in to just do this project with you, whatever some complicated thing that's going on in your life. I'll do this project, I'll charge you a fee, and then off you go. The downside of that type of business, though, is you have to keep finding another client and another client and another client. You don't have that kind of annuity type stream to relax a little on trying to find new clients all the time.
Yeah, and that's from a business perspective. But what about from us as an advisor perspective? Like, don't you love the client relationship and coming back and chatting to people, and you know exactly what's happened in their lives over their life, the last 4 or 5 years? You lose that piece.
Different ways of doing it, isn't it?
Yeah, I think everyone's got a different business model. But yeah, I feel like that one-off advice is still so important. So we do it.
Yep.
But, still obviously we still put a big emphasis on if we can help you, then we'll talk to you about us being your ongoing advisor.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, still a big gap in the industry, but we're so lucky being in our industry.
Yeah, for sure.
We're finally becoming a trusted professional. We'll say that a lot of the shit is out of the industry.
Yeah.
No disrespect to anyone out there that's not still in the game, but I feel like we're starting to get respected for our views now a lot more. There's good headway. There's a lot of people that are requiring good quality advice, and big future, I think, for our industry.
I agree.
Excited to see where it goes. Just got to get some less influencers out there like you. Get off TikTok.
Get me out of the way. Stefan, thanks for joining me. We'll wrap it up there. Appreciate you spending some time with me. Give your business a bit of a plug. Where can people find you if they want to know a little bit more about you?
So we're Angel Advisory. So www.angeladvisory.com.au. Or hit me up on the LinkedIn if I respond. Pretty bad at responding these days.
Eventually you'll respond.
I've got a website. Go to the website. Hopefully you can see some information there. I've got to spend money on doing that up. Anyway, one day you can find me on the website. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Steph.
You're a good man, James.
Bye.
Appreciate it, mate. Cheers.